Hi guys, this is Vidas,
And Usha.
and we're starting 23rd episode of Ask Vidas and Osha podcast. And today's question was sent by Ugo Chukwu, and he asks about the organ pipe families. What are they and how do they work? Basically, Osha, that's 4 or 5 families of organ stops, right?
Yes,
So, what's the most common people should know?
definitely principles.
Principles, right? They are usually positioned in the facade.
Usually we are made from metal.
Hmm. And how do they sound, basically?
Clear and bright,
And
I would say.
firm sound, um, because it's their scaling is quite medium, not like the second family is like flutes, right?
Yes. And actually, usually if you want to tune the organ, you tune them according to the principle.
Principle 4
Yes, principle 4 foot.
of the of that particular division. Yeah, by the way, never tune your organ based on any principle, based on any division. You choose, for example, to tune stops from the Hauptwerk, let's say, or the grade, and you tune it to the principle 8, principle 4 or octave 4 of that division, not from the swell, not from the positive, but from that same division, because sometimes those divisions might be a little bit off, and you have
Sure.
to you know really check its tuning and pitch level. They have to fit together. So back to the families of stops, and then there is probably the next flute, right?
Yes.
Flutes can be made out of metal
Metal and wood,
and
yes.
wood, right? They are different from the principles in a few ways, right?
Yes, sometimes you can have like covered flute, like gedacht would be in
Mm-hmm.
German. Or you could have like chimney flute.
Mm-hmm. Chimney flute, you mean in German Rohrflöte?
Yes, Rohrflöte, that's right.
It has a certain type, certain um,
Chimney at the
chimney
top
at the top. Yeah,
of the pipe.
I was looking for the right word. And what kind of sound does it make?
We have sort of softer and gentle sound
Mm-hmm.
comparing to the principles.
Mm-hmm. But flutes might be different, right? Like
Sure, yes,
they all resemble in one way or another some kind of flute, but the character might be different, right?
yes,
It's a broad question. Then there is a third family, maybe let's say strings, right?
sure.
And strings are
We are actually similar to the principles.
in construction.
Yes, in construction, except that, string stops are sort of narrower.
Mm-hmm.
Pipes are narrower, so we make sort of different sound comparing to the principles, and it sounds a little bit like string instruments
Mm-hmm.
because it has that sort of subtle vibration in their sound.
Mm-hmm. But you mean vibration when you mix, let's say, viola and viola celeste sound, right?
Sure,
Two stops.
sure.
Then the celeste sound might be tuned a little bit sharper, and therefore they make vibrations. I would say that string sounds not only are narrower, but they're very gentle, right?
Sure.
Softer,
Yes.
softer than the principles usually are. Um,
Sounds nice for romantic music, like, you know, slow movements.
Meditations
Yes.
of various sorts. And then the fourth family is, of course,
Reeds.
reeds. Reeds. Have you seen reeds in the facade?
I don't think I had, but there are sometimes in the Spanish organs, yes. We have those, horizontal reeds, shamats.
Yes, they are mounted on the facade and they face the altar, and therefore they are very loud.
But it's not common in other instruments. And what is interesting about the reed stops, of course we have tuned them a lot because we are, getting out of tune pretty fast, at least some of them. But actually they resemble those ancient instruments, wood instruments, that like krumhorn, cornet, and others.
Yes, and you mentioned shamad in Spanish organs. Nowadays, many modern organs have them too,
Sure.
which have some Spanish elements and some French elements and some German elements. They are eclectic instruments, right?
Yes.
There are two kinds of reeds, right? Chorus reeds and solo reeds.
Sure.
Chorus reeds mix well with the ensemble of other stops, like trumpet,
Yes.
right? Bombard, those.
Bassoon.
Yes, long resonator. They have long resonators usually, and solo reeds have short resonators, and they don't mix particularly well with the other stops, and they need to be
Yes, so you use them for solo voice.
yes, like oboe, krumhorn you mentioned, right?
Yes, come on.
Vox humana, right?
Shalmei, maybe.
Shalmei, maybe, yes. Vox humana in German is not the same as voix humaine in French. A little bit different sound in French, because in French tradition it's sort of very nasal and even softer, I would say. In cavaillacol organs, they usually like to use it with the tremulant, right?
And I think we also have to talk a little bit about probably mutation stops.
Mutations, it's like a fifth group, right?
Yes. Well, actually, the pipes are made as in principle.
Or flutes too.
Or flutes too, of those two groups. But here, every key, every sound has a few pipes. So by pressing one key, you get different.
You're talking about compound mutations.
Yes, compound
What
mutations.
about like a fifth or the third stop? It's a just simple mutation. It sounds not at the 8-foot pitch level, but at another interval, right?
Sure.
Like a fifth or
Yes,
third.
and you can play, for example, a C on the key, and it sounds as a G above C.
And are there any other besides fifth and thirds?
Yes, of course.
Which ones?
I think you want to tell about it.
Yes, there are some interesting experiments, I would say, done in the 20th century with sevenths and ninths. They are very squeaky, and you can look them up online how they sound.
But it's not that common as fifths and thirds.
So mutation stops, compound mutations usually have a few rows of pipes, right?
Sure.
Like cornea, you say.
Yes.
And cornea usually has how many? 5?
Yes, usually 5. But I think you could get even more than 5.
8,
Yes.
4, 2 and 2/3, 2, and 1 and 3/5. I think, yes, that's the usual composition of the cornea. But it sounds like a wind instrument when you play it like that. And it's usually constructed from flute stops.
Yes.
Pipes. Good. So guys, go ahead and experiment with your organs and find out other families that they have principals, flutes, and compare them how they sound. Flutes, they sound wider because the scaling is wider than the principals, and gentler, of course. check for strings and check for various kinds of reeds. It's really fun to experiment with the organ stops. You can even create specifical organ demonstration for your congregation just from demonstrating several separate organ family stops, right?
Yes, I think we would benefit from that a lot.
You could explain to them how they work, how they sound, how they constructed. Maybe even let them I wouldn't say touch them, but maybe look them from up close if they are in the organ balcony. Uh, Sometimes you can even blow the pipe yourself. That's really fun. And really, people will get a great interest in organ, in the construction of the organ this way, right?
Sure.
It's especially interesting for children too.
Yes.
So it's a lot to think about what how many possibilities you have to encourage a young generation to get interested in pipe organ and how it works, and maybe you will get some future organists this way. All right, this was Vidas.
And Ausra.
Please send us your questions. The best way is through subscribing to our blog at organduo.lt. You enter your email address, you become a subscriber, you get our daily dose of organ playing advice and inspiration, and then you can reply to any of these messages and send us your questions. We would like to help you grow as an organist. Okay, and remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.